Hi everyone! Welcome to Baxcova News Media, and if you're new, welcome! So, here's the situation. The Jamaican people are struggling with the aftermath of a brutal colonial past. There is no denying that the British exploited our island for their own economic and political interests, plundering it of its natural resources and exploiting its cheap labor force. The brutality of the slave era was also not something we could forget easily. Slaves who refused to work or were punished were beaten mercilessly. Also, many black Jamaicans had their homes destroyed when they were moved to new settlements. The process of compensating these victims of injustice and restoring their rightful share will take time, but is necessary to heal from this traumatic chapter in our history as a nation. The issue of reparations has been raised time and time again by different sectors in society which are eager for concrete action on this matter. Let us review some facts about Jamaica's colonial past, how reparations could be paid, and what sort of compensation is possible from the current British government. What Jamaica need in the form of reparation. As mentioned above, reparations are a set of measures that can be taken to make up for the injustices suffered by a nation or people. Some of these measures can be financial, such as issuing a formal apology, compensating victims, or providing long-term support. Some may be symbolic, such as changing historical records or monuments, or removing monuments or statues that represent the wrongdoings of the past. Regardless, reparations are an important way for a nation to heal from the trauma of colonialism. A Reparations Bill was passed by the Jamaican House of Representatives back in May 2002, but didn't pass the Senate. To pass the bill in the Senate, amendments must be made to address some concerns of the Senate. Therefore, this legislation is still in the process of being passed. Why is the issue of reparations so important to Jamaicans? The British exploited our land, enslaved our people, and savagely beat anyone who stood up to their cruelty. These are things that should never happen to any people. Jamaica was a colony of the British, and was under the rule of a minority group of colonists. This was Jamaica's fate because of its geographical location, which made it easy to invade and control. The British government owes the Jamaican people reparations because the injustices of the slave era were committed against our people by the same people who now have a position of privilege in society. The Jamaican people are still reeling from the negative effects of these actions that were committed against us 300 years ago. British government response to the issue of reparations for Jamaica. In October 2017, the British government responded to a formal request by the Jamaican government to discuss reparations. In their response, the British government indicated that they were willing to discuss the issue of reparations with the Jamaican government. The government of Jamaica has called on the British government to settle claims for compensation from victims of the slave era. In recent years, Jamaican leaders have renewed calls for Britain to provide compensation for the hundreds of thousands of people who were herded into slavery, many of whom are still living today. The Jamaican Parliament began debating a reparations bill back in May 2002, and the bill didn't pass the Senate. For the bill to become law, it must be amended to address some concerns of the Senate. The position of the Church on reparations and why it matters. The Catholic Church has long supported reparations. In fact, in the 1960s, the Catholic Church started the Justice for Blacks movement, 𝐥𝐻𝐸, which still continues to support the need for reparations. 𝐥𝐻𝐸 believes that the injustices of the slave era must be addressed through paying financial reparations. The Catholic Church has also supported the need for symbolic reparations. The Catholic Church in Jamaica has long supported the idea of reparations. In 1978, the Jamaican government appointed a committee that was tasked with recommending how reparations could best be made. The Catholic Church was one of the committee members. The committee presented a comprehensive report that recommended a lot of ways that reparations could be made. Is there anything that can be done about Jamaican reparation? The British government has shown a willingness to make amends for their past sins against the Jamaican people. Whether the British government will act on reparations will remain to be seen. There are talks about the possibility of a new treaty between the UK and Jamaica that could offer some form of reparations. In conclusion, The issue of reparations for the Jamaican people is an issue that must be discussed. Many Jamaicans continue to struggle with the aftereffects of Jamaica's brutal history of colonialism and slavery. The hope is that the British government will discuss the issue of reparations and address this concern that has been lingering for too long. Viewers and subscribers, listen to hear what's next. How reparations benefit Black Jamaicans today. Many people of African descent in Jamaica, like those in other countries, have faced discrimination based on their skin color. Discrimination often has a historical basis. For example, in the United States, laws were enacted based on the idea that Black people were inherently more criminal than white people. These laws, which continue to be challenged, have left African Americans with a high rate of poverty and higher rates of incarceration. In Jamaica, the legacy of slavery means that many of the descendants of enslaved Africans and their descendants have faced discrimination in education and the workplace. This has led some to call for reparations to address the legacy of slavery and other forms of discrimination in the country. The argument for reparations is that, because of the legacy of slavery and other forms of discrimination, Blacks in Jamaica have been disproportionately affected by partner inequality, incarceration and income inequality. Thus, reparations could help to address these and other inequalities in Jamaica. How can reparations benefit Black Jamaicans tomorrow? Similar to the situation in many other countries, the descendants of enslaved Africans in Jamaica are disadvantaged relative to the rest of the population. This has led some to call for reparations to be paid to Black Jamaicans to address the legacy of slavery and other forms of discrimination that have affected Black Jamaicans disproportionately. The argument for reparations is that, because of the legacy of slavery and other forms of discrimination, Blacks in Jamaica have been disproportionately affected by partner inequality, incarceration and income inequality. Thus, reparations could help to address these and other inequalities in the country. Reparations could have a significant effect on the lives of many Jamaicans. Although most people are likely aware of the disadvantages that some of their family members face, they may not be aware of how they could benefit from reparations. Research shows that reparations has the potential to affect people's decisions in a number of ways. For example, people may decide to conduct health research so that the benefits from health interventions reach a larger population. They may also decide to improve their quality of life by investing in education or taking better care of themselves. In addition, reparations could help to address the inequalities that many people of African descent face in other areas, such as job preferences and access to housing. What could reparations look like? There are several ways that reparations could be implemented in Jamaica. One possibility is that the Jamaican government pays people who are descendants of enslaved Africans. Another is that the government makes payments to companies that benefited from using enslaved people or their descendants. While some people have suggested a wide variety of ways that reparations could be implemented, it is important to note that no approach would be ideal. The goal of reparations would not be to create a perfect system or even provide benefits to everyone. The hope is that some people could benefit from the program, particularly the descendants of enslaved Africans who have faced disadvantages based on their skin color. Why is it important to end slavery in Jamaica? Ending slavery in Jamaica was a major accomplishment for the enslaved people and their descendants. After the enslaved Africans arrived in Jamaica, they were forced to work under harsh conditions on plantations, producing sugar and cotton. The work was backbreaking, and there was no guarantee of a sufficient income. Reparations could have a significant impact on the lives of Jamaicans if they are implemented in a way that addresses the inequalities that have affected people of African descent disproportionately. It is important to note, however, that this would be the goal of any kind of reparations program, to address the disadvantages that a particular group of people face because of their skin color. How reparations could happen in Jamaica. While there is no clear path to implementing reparations in any country, it is possible to consider some of the ways that it could occur in Jamaica. First, the Jamaican government could pay out one-time payments to people who are descendants of enslaved Africans. This could occur in a number of ways. Perhaps the Jamaican government would pay out a certain amount of money to eligible people based on the number of enslaved ancestors they have. It is also possible that the government could pay out a certain amount of money to a specific type of company that benefited from using enslaved people, such as a company that owned land where cotton was grown. The government could decide that all companies that have benefited in this way would be eligible to receive a reparations payment. My conclusion is, the history of slavery in Jamaica is unique, in that it was the only British colony to officially abolish slavery. For many years, people of African descent in Jamaica faced systemic racism, partner inequality, education and income inequality. Public recognition of this history could help to address these issues. People could be eligible for reparations if they are descendants of enslaved Africans who have faced systematic disadvantages due to their skin color. These people could benefit from partner inequality, incarceration, education and income inequality in Jamaica. Thanks so much for watching! Please comment down below guys! Press up the like button, share and subscribe! I'll see you in the next Baxcova News Media.